Welcome to our What If Jupiter is a Naturally Formed Quantum Computer with Balaji and Dr. Vaseline. Our next upcoming event is with Dr. Shaki. The topic is about quantum chemistry. The moderators are Powell and Dr. Sebastian. Thanks our sponsor, Quantum AI Foundation, Quantum Computing Data Science, Toronto, Sing4Maker, which is hosted by Balaji, and OriionX.net, Association Quantum, Cambridge Quantum, and Q Poland. And let's start the event with Balaji.
Thanks, Helen, for introduction. Thanks for Washington, D.C. Quantum Meetup Group to host my talk about Jupiter as a quantum machine. And I will give the flow of the talk. I'll introduce Virendra, who is going to moderate, and the panelists are VGG, Dr. VGG, and also Vinay. They are going to give the expert opinion about this topic. And also there will be a project session demo to compare the pictures of planets and the quantum mission. So let me share the screen now.
Absolutely. Welcome to the session. We are well above 50 now. So definitely half century is up for the participants today. Our effort is very simple today. We are trying to take you to a journey onto space. You have heard very recently, 3 people went to space. Of course, Musk was the last one to take 4 people with him to space. And today we can, out of fun, definitely claim we are taking 53 to the Jupiter right with us today. So what is Jupiter? What if this is a naturally formed computer? Absolutely, buckle your belts. Let's get going, because we are going to take you onto Jupiter and how AI to quantum to the Jupiter. Where is the synergy? Of course, it's a fiction. We have more questions than answers today. We have our panelists, VGG, we have Vinay from AI side, we have plentiful expert, and I believe today, for one change, everybody on this call is an expert, because we are all going to think together. We are all going to get and dive into this session today and see where is the synergy, where is this beautiful fictions, as Balaji said, and we were talking, and this topic emerged while we were discussing about it. And I said, yes, Balaji, this makes perfect sense. And definitely this is a place, this is a case where sky is the limit for our imagination, because we all remember somebody said in some beautiful Disney story, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's fairest of all? And then Silicon Valley, it made it happen. So unless there is a fiction, unless there is a question, unless there is a dream, reality will not be there. So with that, Balaji, get started. Take us to this journey on to Jupiter. How this is going to be a naturally formed quantum computer. Let's hear more from Bala. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Virendra, for giving a wonderful introduction. I thank the host for the giving a platform to express my thought experiment. So, see, the topic is what if Jupiter is naturally formed quantum computer? So, sound like a science fiction movie title. And to introduce myself, I'm a software engineer working as a consultant for various Fortune 500 companies. Right now I'm Microsoft as a consultant, and also I worked in Intel, Cisco, and Pfizer, almost 20 companies. And I have MS in computer science from Golden Gate University, and also I'm basically a biologist turned into IT profession. So I have a dual major. So the topic is formed based on the biological system, how brain works, and similar way the computer also. So the AI is basically evolved from the neural network formation of the brain. They imitated that as a deep learning, and now the AI is getting all the attention and it giving a lot of results, which is 10 years back, it was not possible because of the deep learning. It is getting all more accurate results. Similarly, if you take the planet Jupiter, I can compare that to a brain. To come to that conclusion, we'll start with topic which was made into a research paper by a MIT professor, Sid. He has published a paper called What If Universe Itself, a Quantum Computer. So this was, he is a famous professor, and he has mentioned that the universe itself is a giant computer because this every atom in this universe particle stores bits like qubits, and the collision between this atom flips the bits and create a new arrangements. So that spin creates new complex system, including galaxies, planets, and life itself. So based on this, we can say this is a possible hypothesis because when all nature is a quantum mechanism, it uses quantum mechanism. Basically, everything is a quantum machines. So I posted this question to a question and forum called Quora, where my son also worked sometime after his high school. So if this Jupiter is a quantum computer, is it possible? I posted. They responded, some of them responded, this universe itself a quantum machine proposed by the MIT professors. Those started a good conversation about this topic in Quora, and when I posted this question whether Jupiter is a quantum machine. So somebody answered in this way, supportive way. Some people mocked at it, saying, what about the burger is a quantum machine because it has many layers like Jupiter. Do you consider it as a quantum machine? Just for fun, somebody mentioned this. So it is possible if it is a carbon one, basically it is if you compress that in to a diamond, it is possible, maybe just for fun. But this comment was removed later, but this comment is still there because this is more authentic. And so this shows some evidence about quantum Jupiter as a quantum machine because it is a subset of the galaxy itself. And to take next level, because why we are doing this research, what is the need of this quantum model? Because the problems we are facing is more complex these days. We need more qubits. So IBM has reached at least 128 quantum entangled qubits. They're planning for 1,000 qubits by 23 or something. But it is a very slow progress, but we need some model which can give millions of qubits entanglement. So in that way, we need bigger scale quantum machines to build. These machines are nowadays, it is very complex to build because it has so many parts and it is error prone and it's not that much scalable also. So to think in that line, the problem statement will be to build a simple machine with the simple basic ingredients. To look into that angle, Jupiter comes under a very simple machine because it is made of hydrogen, basically 90%, and helium and some nitrogen, and also some core silicon also. So it is a kind of all the ingredients required for a quantum machine. It's already having it. And we go to the next, what are the three powers of quantum? One is superposition, interference, entanglement. How this links to Jupiter, we can say, and why we have to select only the Jupiter as a quantum mission. What is the special ingredients apart from the helium layers? So this three, how it is positioned in Jupiter, we have to analyze. Superposition is like a spin of up and down at the same time, 1 and 0. At the same time, it in the superposition state is helps in calculating complex problems in much easier way, because it is like creating more combination of information. And entanglement, it also happens in different way in Jupiter. Entanglement, as you know, two atoms sync, like as though they are connected through an umbilical cord. Resonance happens because one thing affects the other atom. So this is a proven one, even though ancients say it is a spooky action, but it is accepted by the scientific community and used in the, this is happen in a way in Jupiter also, that I will come to the next screen, how Jupiter was formed. So a long time, millions of years, when there was a formation of planets, the gas, which is swirling like a disk, started forming into planets. So the sun was the center, but the other planets started forming. In that sense, I will ask one small pop quiz to understand your planetary system interest. So there's 4 questions. So the pop quiz is, which is the first formed planet in our solar system? Which is the last one will remain? And the largest liquid ocean present in a planet, and the largest moon in the solar system.
Rock your brains, guys. Absolutely.
Just I'll give you 5 minutes. It's not even just 2 minutes. It is easy to.
Yeah, let's give them 2 minutes, and then you can continue with the flow. And if in the first minute we don't have any answers, then Balaji, we shouldn't be waiting, because then we are Googling it and we don't want to Google.
Okay, let's
give the answers, Bala. I think let's go on.
Okay. Yeah, actually, this is Jupiter. I mean, when the NASA public, I mean, in the site they have mentioned when planets are forming, the first planet formed is Jupiter. And because they observe other galaxies, they see that same pattern. So in that galaxy, other galaxies also, Jupiter-like planet forms. That's the largest gas planet, which forms first, and which remains as the last also, because it's a huge one when even the sun collapsed, but the Jupiter remains there. And it has the largest liquid ocean in the planet, our solar system, and largest moon also in the Jupiter. So it is the largest planet in our solar system. It's a gas planet. It has a unique feature. It has structure almost like a brain. You can say when recently NASA sent Juno, the probe, it took a lot of very high definition picture, three-dimensional pictures also. One of them is this one. And this was almost like a lot of swirling clouds. Basically, it is helium, hydrogen, and ammonia clouds. So these are almost minus 250 centigrade. So it is a kind of more cold place. It almost 1,000 kilometers of depth it has. So it has both combination of heat and cold climate. It's a very unique climate. It is like a Zen. It has a lot of paradox in Jupiter. It has a very high magnetic field, which affects all the planets also. So it is a very powerful planet. That's why it is named after the Greek king Jupiter. And other thing is, if you take the outer layer, it has a band of zones and belts. So the belts are like a little bit low energy, cool clouds. The next band is zones. They are more hot gases. So it is a alternates like a belt of cool and hot rings, which forms unique stripes around the Jupiter. So this moves in opposite direction to each other, like a belt going against each other. So it's kind of annealing process of quantum. That is, annealing means high and low energy pattern. It will be the forming gates in quantum machines. Similarly, this bands creates that type of structure in Jupiter. So the unique structure and behavior of Jupiter points to its very unique position and also a controlling nature of the Jupiter has a significant impact on planets, because basically it has a magnetic force which can influence all other planets' path also. Even the sun, it was wobbling because of the magnetic force of the Jupiter. It little bit wobbles when it goes around. So they detect in the other galaxies, when other galaxies' sun wobbles, they know there is a presence of a big planet like Jupiter. So it is also follows the a different center with the sun. Sun and Jupiter always have a tie-up, and they share a special center which they goes around. So this is shows kind of a biological system. We can say sun is the heart and Jupiter is the brain. Because of the controlling nature of the Jupiter, it actually repels a lot of other asteroids coming to our planetary system. At the same time, if they enter, it vacuums them, like it sucks them and pulverizes them. So it is protecting our solar system for millions of years. Even the planet Earth is protected by Jupiter. So, I mean, it has a lot of interesting feature like that. So it is compared to a biological system, our brain, which controls all the systems. So that is another point I can weigh upon.
So basically, it's a very nice analogy coming up for biological systems, Jupiter, and also the quantum computers, and the analogy and the synergy between the three concepts. That's where this is being shaped up in terms of this discussion. And a couple of comments on our fun facts. I mean, as Balaji said, the biggest moon comes from Jupiter. And obviously, if anybody want to take a guess how many moons Jupiter has, 79. And when it comes to some simple sampling theories and some of those theories which have been even leveraged into making good samples for good portfolio management on the stock market side, which is one of the hot topics today as such. When we go there, 30 stocks or more, you are always kind of in a stable portfolio. That's one of the theories for portfolios. Having 79 moons and not losing to the biggest moon would be a very difficult bet to lose. So that way, definitely it has the biggest moon because it has 79 to sport against any other planet which are lesser than this. And with that, let's go back to this equation from E for MC square. Balaji, go on from there, please.
Yes. So if we take in the formation of the planet, the entanglement could have occurred between all the atoms present in the galaxy to the Jupiter. That is my one of the hypotheses, because when it formed, Jupiter was formed first. So it has to form means it has to go through the all the gas swirling clouds to establish kind of connection, entanglement. And so it has all the map of these atoms, and which can entangle with all the planetary system also when they form condensed into your planets. So it established like entanglement with the planet, like similar to our quantum weights, with each atom as mapped in the quantum level to the Jupiter core, which is liquid metallic hydrogen, basically. So the magnetic power of the Jupiter works like 1,000 millions of hands, which is controlling all other planets. So that is one of the just a hypothesis, but the possible answer I can say by relating the quantum entanglement, how it is possible is need to be investigated. But one of the theory I can propose is that. So so the quantum entanglement is one of the aspects how it is possibly happening with a lot of atoms. So we think it is a spooky action, but it may not be, because the quantum bits, quantum atom level, everything is connected to one central mapping, like a brain which has the all the parts are mapped. The Jupiter has all the map of these atoms. That's why whatever happens to one which is entangled atoms, it affects the other. So it acts like invisible variable, which Jupiter, Einstein told, to entanglement to happen, there will be a unknown variable. The third variable is there, but he didn't mention what is that. Possibly we can take Jupiter can be the third variable, unknown variable, which connects all the atoms. That's one of the areas I was thinking, but it has to be very possible or not. The panel experts can verify, or it needs deeper research.
Right.
So
I think
other
it's a good
things I
segue,
want to,
Bala. It's a good segue, as you said, panel experts. And at this stage, Vijay, anything in terms of any comments on the Jupiter side and the quantum concept which Balaji just introduced? Do you want to add anything here, please?
Well, this is a very nice presentation about Jupiter, and trying to make the artistic expression of this possibility. I would wait for Balaji to finish his presentation, and I have a few slides of my own that I would like to show. I think this is a really beautiful pictures that we are seeing, and this is wonderful.
Perfect. Thank you. Balaji, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Vijay. I will discuss at the end. Yeah, sure. So to understand the power of Jupiter, we have to slice it to a different section and see, because recently they sent the Juno probe. It was able to analyze all the layers and come up with this some of the areas of Jupiter. Still, the core is still unknown because it didn't penetrate that level. But they think it is a silicon core and with ice rocks. And above this is the metallic hydrogen core, which is also a liquid metallic hydrogen. It's a very unique one. It is like a toothpaste type of material, which is not static, it is just moving and creating a magnetic field by its movement. It's a superconductor, actually. They tried to reproduce that in MIT. They achieved some extent success, but still in elusive, it appears and disappears. It's a very short duration they were able to produce it. It needs a lot of heat and pressure. So hydrogen metal is the another aspect scientists are after it, because it can be used in so many batteries and things like that. So that one is the one creating a large millions of power, magnetic power, which is reaching all the planets from Jupiter. This is the core engine, we can say. Our planet has iron metallic liquid core, which goes by its spin and creates magnetic field in our Earth. That's why we have, I can say, full of gravity in our system. Mars has a core, but it is dead. It is not moving. It is not liquid. It is solidified. That's why it is considered as a dead planet. And ours is more alive because it is having a liquid iron core in our system. But Jupiter has the unique metallic hydrogen. It has a 3 states of hydrogen. One is gas and liquid and metal. So all are simple based on hydrogen one. So if we are creating a quantum machine, similar structure we can create, which can be as simple than what we are creating, very complex systems. So we need a system, a quantum computer, which is simplified. So this structure seems to be very simple than our current system. And next thing is the size of the Jupiter. If you compare the size of the Jupiter with the other planets, Jupiter is a watermelon size, and Saturn is a grapefruit size. Uranus is apple, Neptune is lime, Venus is blueberry, Mercury is peppercorn, Earth is like cherry tomato, this size. So if you can compare to fruit size, this is the size of our planetary system. Jupiter is the largest in that sense. It can fit all the planets inside and still have its room. So that's big size.
So just to add the fun fact, Jupiter is 300 times the size of Earth. So you can imagine 300, whatever size we are seeing on the screen, 300 of such cherries can fit into this melon. And very interesting piece, which is about Jupiter, which has always kind of intrigued also. I'm sure those who have seen the picture, there is a red dot which constantly rotates. So you can imagine the huge size. When that red dot is there, it rotates in the counterclockwise direction and takes about 6 days to finish that rotation. Some fun facts in terms of those things. And as Balaji mentioned, the probe, which was so precise spacecraft, took all these beautiful pictures, and on the basis of that, we are seeing some further screens here. From that angle, probe could not even land on the Jupiter, being a gaseous with no rocky substance there, because if it could there, it would simply vaporize in Jupiter and we'll have nothing. Of course, whatever it could send, if it could reach us before it disappears, that's a separate story. Back to you, Balaji.
Thank you. So let's move to the other aspects of the Jupiter. So let's see the engine of the Jupiter, how it is moving. So the core, as I mentioned, this is the metal, liquid metal hydrogen, is basically a superconductor. So this is a good for creating a quantum machine too. So this center has the toothpaste-like metallic hydrogen, which moves like constantly. That makes the twist of going around of the Jupiter. It is the fastest planet in our solar system. Even though it is the largest, but it moves very fast. Every 10 hours, one cycle. Ours is 24 hours. It is 10 hours. That fast it is moving because of its liquid metal hydrogen, which is also moving very fast, like a fast train. So this liquid metal hydrogen consists like a toothpaste, we can say. The outer layer is like a liquid hydrogen, inner is metal. So liquid ocean around it is like, we can say, like, the milkshake, that thickness it has. So when recently 94, there was asteroid which came from outer planet that is called Shoemaker. When it came to our planet system, what Jupiter did, it pulverized it. And when it sank into the system, it was like falling into a milkshake. It just disappeared within 2 days. And because it has a lot of gas and also liquid hydrogen, it it pulverized. It can go up to 100 kilometers. After that, it reduces into rumbles. So that power, it has vacuum-like behavior which sucks all the other asteroids coming to our system and protecting us. That is very unique feature of this one. At the same time, it has other behavior also. It can destroy also. It is a protector, at the same time destroyer too, because I will come to that point later. And so to show the magnetic magnetosphere of the Jupiter from the NASA site, this one, it is the like reaching almost 300 million miles, that powerful it has. So these are kind of small arms reaching the planets and guiding their path also. They found it affects how it corrects the other planets' path. If they just go out of it, it corrects. Even the sun wobbles because it tried to go away, it will come back to its original position. It's kind of wobble. So it is controlling the path of the other planets. That much magnetic power it generates from its dynamo. So the dynamo is nothing but metallic hydrogen. And some of the beautiful picture they created, simulated one about the magnetic power. And next we'll move to the inner structure, how the dynamo works. Basically, it has a belt and zone pattern like this, 8 zone, 8 belt. By seeing the 8 belt and alternatively, I assume it can be each belt controls one planet because it has 8 accurately belts and zones. So each circle represent one planet, like Jupiter and Earth. Each has maybe connected that way. It controls that. That is one of the hypotheses I have. So if you take a Jupiter as a computer, it has to have some structure to control each part. So this is the way it may be doing it. And it has a lot of swirling clouds which goes around and creating this dynamo system. So these are some of the features of Jupiter, which can be creating this powerful magnet. So this we can compare that to our MRI mission. Basically, the MRI mission is a quantum mission, basically quantum computer also we can say. The first computer we can close enough to create was MRI missions. So this also uses hydrogen to trace the position of the our body system. So basically our body is made of water. So water molecule is hydrogen, oxygen, So they manipulate the hydrogen molecule in our system using powerful magnet. So when we go into the MRI machine, basically what it does, it has a powerful magnet equivalent to our Earth magnet power. So that much power they send and twist our hydrogen molecule to particular spin, like one spin it does. They power up the hydrogen molecules. Some are having a low energy water molecule. Rarely, all the water molecules won't spin that way. Some are having low energy molecule. So they will be down position, but the high energy which magnet sends will spin the hydrogen up position. So there is a combination happens. So to make the low energy molecule, they will send a microwave to spin up. So then they release that microwave. Once again, it comes down. So this spin up and spin down creates our map internally to the computer. That signals will be sent to a computer and processed as a image. So magnetic resonance image is created based on this magnetic principle. So this is one of the nuclear magnetic resonance mission recently they developed. This is more powerful than MRI. This is recent developed because they want to analyze the virus and microbacteria. So they use a very high magnetic field similar to Jupiter, I can say. Structure-wise, it looks like that. So it can create a lot of, more accurate pictures of the organic system, like a very nanoscale. So they are using for a virus like COVID. So it can give more accurate pictures of their protein structure and things like that. So this is nuclear MRI is almost similar to the structure of Jupiter's inner structure. And that way, I say Jupiter is like a biggest planet MRI mission, nuclear magnetic resonance, which has. So that is one of the another point I want to give. Sorry, it's going very fast. Okay. So these are okay. So this is the Jupiter spinning stripes of the Jupiter, which is 8 belts and zones and belts, which is low energy, high energy combination. So it goes, each one is moving opposite to other. It's kind of unique pattern of like a chain of swirling clouds creating chemical engine, we can say. So that is another point I want to bring. So sorry. So if you take the Jupiter magnetic field, it is like an arm reaching the planets and making the correction of the path. It is like error correction in quantum computer. So if to correct the errors, it has to know the correct path. So it has some maps internally present. That's why it is able to correct it. And it is a kind of defense system. It knows which are the other planetary asteroids coming in to suck it and remove them. So it is kind of our protector so far. And it is kind of destroyer also, because it has a control over asteroid belt, which is in the center of our system. So this is asteroid belt is the one just behind the Jupiter. Jupiter is other side and Mars is this side. So it is between is asteroid belt. So recently NASA is sending a new probe to analyze this asteroid belt, because this is the one which is when the planetary system formed, it existed. They want to analyze. And also Jupiter pulls this belt to its convenience. Whenever it wants to send some of the asteroids to some planet, it purposely sends, and it happened millions of years back. One of the asteroids hit our Earth also. Even though it is able to control the asteroid, it didn't do anything about this asteroid hitting our Earth. Why it did, nobody knows, but there is a behavior of Jupiter. It can direct some asteroids to do certain evolutionary introduction also possible. Because of that, the dinosaurs are removed from planet, and the mammals are able to flourish because of this incident. Because the dinosaurs are sucking all our planetary environment and destroying it. So I don't know if Jupiter knows about it. Maybe it sends to destroy and promote human beings.
Or it's another act of the superhuman nature beyond Earth's nature.
Yeah, possible. It has some energy balance it creates.
Right.
It knows the energy depletion is occurring. Maybe we have to be careful about our environment too, because we are becoming another dinosaur now, creating the climate change things which planet is affecting us. So we have to be careful about Jupiter, I think. So
and Balaji, one comment which you made, which was very interesting to me, and go back to the arms thing, which you showed, the way Jupiter arm is controlling other planets. If you go back one more slide. Okay. And this is something kind of generates the idea and synergy on the AI/ML side, and the way we do our predictions on the basis of earlier data, train the systems, and then come up with future predictions. So something to that effect can be absolutely synergized here on the same pattern, same path. And further, it can be mapped on to the way quantum computers can even further process and make use of even huge amounts of data to kind of come up with such kind of precise calculations to make all these things happen at the natural level. But with that, if I can take the liberty to invite for only 30 seconds when you want to elaborate a little more on the AI/ML prediction capability here, or anything which you think could be synergized here in terms of thoughts, pure thoughts. And these are all fictional thoughts. That's why I thought I'll take this small segue and one break, and to bring you on to make any comment if you want to add anything.
Definitely. So thanks, Virendra and Balaji. It's been a good presentation till now. I really appreciate all of the detailed aspects that you went into, and especially when I relate AI with quantum, I especially like to think it in terms of something which is like a Turing complete machine. So when I look at Jupyter as a quantum computer, I did go through some references which you shared with me as well. Then the problem which we need to ask is that how do we provide inputs to this quantum computer and how do we get outputs? So one good example which I could think of is like artificially changing the weather conditions on the planet by using some sort of heat agents or any sort of thermal catalyst which can just change the environment a little bit, and that can result in some other outcomes which can be simulated as a big weather experiment, something like that. So I do see a lot of AI based applications here. The only thing is we need to figure out exactly how do we tweak the inputs, then which sort of model is trained over here, because as I look at it, different planets have different machine learning models trained for their own climatic conditions, because the same change happening on Earth might not necessarily happen on Mars, which is what a lot of these spacecrafts are now realizing. So overall, that is something which I'm definitely keen into. And as you rightly said, Jupyter has a lot of these purposeful behavior changes, as you mentioned them, where based on some certain natural phenomena it is changing some physical properties. Like I've seen Jupyter protecting Earth from a lot of asteroids, which you rightly mentioned here, and a lot of times it is also seen that the inner core wobbles and it changes the path of Jupyter. So I'm definitely seeing a lot of synergy here in terms of having some AI based algorithm and Jupyter actually acting according to it. This is something which we can hypothesize for. Of course, there is no real computer inside Jupyter, but definitely something we can hypothesize. And it's very similar to the entire pipeline, Virendra, which you said about having data, then having a trained model, and based on the trained model, having inference later on. So it's like as more and more years pass by, as Jupyter revolves around the sun, we definitely see more and more incidences where it is protecting Earth and different planets.
Absolutely. And as you said, data, models, and then changing the variables, how the model and predictions and everything will change. Something can be hypothesized, and then something which we can still left to the super nature and say, okay, this is how it is controlling it. Back to you, Balaji. I think thank you, Vinay, for this.
Thank you,
excellent
Vinay, for your valuable insight. And to continue that, to add that one point, actually, our classical computers works on gates which are electronic based, and quantum machines works on magnetic based gates. So that one difference I can correlate to Jupyter's magnetic power and quantum gates of quantum computer which we use. It is magnified magnetic resonance which creates by the Jupyter is compared to the quantum machines what we have. But classical computers, they use electronics. Quantum machines use magnetic gates. So that's another difference I can relate to Jupyter.
That's really great. And actually, is somebody else giving a presentation now, or can I go with my slides?
I will
finish.
Balaji is finished.
Some a little two more is there. Just a minute.
Yeah. As soon as Balaji finish, you are next, VGG.
Okay, because that's a perfect plug for me to
we'll still bring back
about
the slide.
computers.
Yes.
And,
we'll still bring back the same slide to give you the cue. So absolutely.
Yeah. So just is. Yeah. Okay. So if you take pot making, clay making this pot maker, it is our galaxies like that. So the sun is giving all the energy through its photons and so the Jupyter is the hand, we can say, magnetic hand, which shapes that planetary system. The sun is giving this energy as clay, similar to clay, what the pot will be creating. And
Excuse me.
we compare the magnetic field of the Jupiter is the hand which shapes them, kind of creating new materials, quantum machines. Basically, that is one of the Sun-Jupiter combinations creating the whole galaxy engine. So the Jupiter is not only in our galaxy, there are other galaxies also. They found Jupiter is found largest planet in each galaxy has their own system. So each planet is a kind of a biological system, which has the heart and brain. So each planet has a purpose, I feel. That is my another point I would like to mention.
And I'll just supplement that fact, Balaji, as you said, each planet has a specific purpose, and people who believe and study astrology, they know that astrology basic chart contains all those planets. And when it comes to Jupiter, the way Jupiter prediction goes is if it's in the right of the settings in that astrology chart, they say that's your Mahadasha, means your big luck situation in your life or whatever situation they are calibrating into. Again, the synergy comes from where are we coming from? Do we believe in astrology? Does it have any connotation, or it's a science or a fiction? Not subject for today, but definitely this is the most beautiful picture and the most beautiful hypothesis which we have seen around Jupiter, solar system, sun, energy, and the way the whole thing is getting shaped. Again, bringing back the previous slide and synergy into this of the magnetic hand and the way things are getting shaped. Thank you, Balaji.
Thank you. So to add the feature of, what the point Virendra was mentioning, how Indian Vedic Jupiter system, astrology, what he mentioned, I can point that also. So if we take Vedic Jupiter system, this is the god of Jupiter, god, they consider as a god. And one of the temple in South India has this god's statue. So I see there is a pattern of design of quantum computer I can see around. When I flip that, it is almost looks like a quantum machine. So the it has a gas pipeline. Like I'm just hypothesizing. So they have a temple for Jupiter. So they call Guru planet in our Indian astrology, because Guru means which gives wisdom, basically, who can, like a Dr. Professor, who is Professor Vijiti, you can say, is our Guru, who has the expert knowledge and who can give advice like this. So that is the position in Indian Vedic. Vedic means very old, thousands of years back, they created how the galaxy universe works. So those rules are in that Vedic literature. So there is a temple. They consider each planet the god. As like some control on our system, our future, and things like the astrology. That is what Virendra was mentioning about our Indian system. So this is the one of the just a curious picture which compares to the quantum computer. Maybe the Vedic scholars called rishis, who are similar to our professors, we can say. Those days they researched in a different way. How they research, they made their own body as a quantum machines. How they did, they call it meditation. It's nothing but stilling our body and mind. So when our body and mind very still, it is become like a quantum machine. Our whole body is made of water, hydrogen and oxygen. So when you still similar to a quantum machine, quantum machines also works on a sub-zero condition, which is very atoms are a still condition, doesn't disturbed by other molecules. So that is reducing the error in the system. Similarly, they did some research by stilling their body and mind, which is vibrating less, so that they can get the powers somehow. So to know the whole, how the world works. So they created the rules called Vedic system based on that. So they did the research where, the Himalayas, very sub-zero and zero condition there, like a very coldest place where they meditate. So they created their whole body, biologic body as a quantum machine. So that way they come up with a lot of new rules about the cosmos and things like that. They may call it Vedic astrology, but it's a Vedic astronomy, we can say in the modern term. So that is another thing I can relate. Yeah. So let's move to the other last slide. So in the recently they sent maybe before the Juno, there was another probe was sent called Galileo to the Jupiter, which was after its mission, it was crashed into the Jupiter. So my conclusion is, what is the use of analyzing Jupiter to be a quantum computer? So why not we send another probe? Actually, they are going to send one, they call it JUICE, similar to Juno, to make the Jupiter as our quantum mission, quantum computer. So when we send another probe, we can make it as one of the patch, like a radar for our communication system to plug into the core. It becomes the part of the core, and we can send our information to process using Jupiter as a quantum machine and get back the results through its magnetic difference. So it may be a wild thought. Maybe NASA can do that. It has power to send another probe to make it Jupiter as our quantum computer to process information. Is maybe a wild scientific, science fiction thought, but that may be another conclusion of this talk. And there is a AI project I want to show, but I will show it after Dr. Vijay's presentation. So
Absolutely. Thank you, Balaji. This has been the most wonderful hypothesis and presentation and all the fun facts which came along. And as you rightly are dreaming that they should send, and you are suggesting, dreaming, whatever you want to call it. But yes, those kind of thoughts do churn people's mind. And then those thoughts finally are transmitted into the community cosmos, where NASA is definitely listening to as well. And I'm sure someday, and the time should not be far off, because already 9 probes have been sent, if I'm not mistaken. And Juno is still orbiting Jupiter, if again I'm not mistaken. So from that angle, yes, there's a lot to happen, a lot to come, a lot more research is going on, which we may not have yet stumbled upon, which may still be sitting in labs, and a lot more to hear. With that, one last comment from you, and then we should give it over to Professor Vijayji. Balaji, any last comment?
That's on my side. We are like the elephant and the blind man, analyzing the quantum mechanism, because a lot of companies creating a lot of quantum computer design. Each one has their own way of doing. It is not a universal approach. But if you take Jupyter, it has all the ingredients required for a quantum computer. We can use that instead of creating a smaller scale models, which is not meeting a practical purpose. So we have to be a machine which can be scalable to millions of qubits. So that is one of the areas we can look into that. So nature is basically a quantum mechanism. Based on that, it works. So we have to basically most of the inventions are we are copying from the nature. Why not we copy naturally formed Jupyter? That is my last point to
Absolutely.
mention. Yeah.
Absolutely great. Thank you. Thank you, Balaji. And let's give him a big hand for this big thought-provoking session. And with that, I'll hand off to VGG. VGG, over to you. You can take the control of the screen.
Yeah,
And
I'll stop my.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And this is really wonderful pictures and introduction about the planet Jupiter and our solar system. But I would like to drive the presentation back to the original question, which was about whether Jupiter could be a naturally formed computer. So for this purpose, of course, we have to address the question, what is a computer and what is a quantum computer? So there is no doubt that, do you see my screen?
yes, good.
Yes.
Great. Let me see. So there is no doubt that it's important for the solar system, the presence of Jupiter, to protect the Earth. And I think I should be able to get even a pointer. Our planet from the other asteroids and hazards of the interplanetary space. But going back to the question, what is a computer? Basically, what it means to be a computer. Interestingly, I mean, a person could be a computer. So I looked up online the definitions, and I looked for the shortest and simplest one. A personal electric device that makes and stores quick calculations or processes information. So it doesn't have to be even electronic. It could be mechanical device also. But now we live in this era where we use electronic devices a lot. And I want to draw the attention to the one type of machines, which are very simple machines. They just use to manipulate symbols on a tape, just like what we have for magnetic readers or the old days punch cards. And there is a table of few simple rules what this machine can do. Things like print the state of the machine, or move to the left or right, or stay at the same place on the tape, or change the state of the machine. So for the curious ones, I mean, I encourage you to go and look up online Wikipedia or other pages, and you can get more details about these Turing machines. What's important is that with these simple rules, now researchers in the field have been able to prove theorems showing that any computer algorithm could be actually made into a Turing machine capable to simulate this algorithm logics. So that means that basically all these simple rules could be sufficient to reproduce any complex algorithm. Now, going back to modern time machines, I mean, as I said, there's mechanical or electrical. They could be also analog, digital, or hybrid computers. Now, the digital ones are the most common and well-spread computers. Basically, what they do is perform calculations and a logical operation with quantities represented as digits, usually binary numbers, 0 or 1s. And that's kind of the main difference from a quantum computer at this stage. So if we look at quantum computer, well, unlike classical computer that we think about these days, which is representing 0 and 1, a quantum computer actually have a more complicated structure. So it could represent a range of states of the system. So again, quantum computer, you can think this is the Turing and this is 0 and 1, this is the state of a register. But then for quantum machine, your register could be a whole circle. So it could be any point, or it could be even a sphere or more complicated object. Now, I'm particularly emphasizing here that it's not good, although it sounds really great idea, really amazing and mesmerizing, saying, well, quantum computer gets you have 0 and 1 at the same time. Well, actually, you're not having it at the same time, because you have to define what does it mean the same time, what is time. And if one wants to keep this classical picture of a points, classical manifolds, it's maybe better to think about a circle. And then what the quantum computer is doing is this register gives you a state on a circle. And in particular, you can be in this point here, and you see this point is a little bit equal distance from the two states that one can represent as 0 and 1 after measurement. So basically this is saying, well, this is a state which it has an equal probability to, when you measure, to get 0 or 1, but you have to do a measurement and see what you get. Just like flipping a coin. It has equal probability to be heads or tails, but you have to throw the coin and see what you get. It's not saying that your coin is simultaneously in two states. It's in every point the coin has a very definite state. So if you think about a quantum register as a point on a circle or a sphere, this is another way to think and avoid the puzzling thing. Well, how could it be at the same time at two places? It's actually in one specific point in the state space. And here I have selected few types of qubits, I mean, these quantum registers, how we actually model these such states. One is commonly used by IBM, Rigetti, D-Wave, and Google, which is superconducting qubits. Another one is based on ions, ion traps like IonQ and Honeywell. And another method is thing that Intel is trying to do, which is a silicon quantum dots. Now, Microsoft is betting on another object, which is topological qubits. And the reason that they're interested in this is, of course, the question of error. Because quantum system is very sensitive to the environment, and environment can easily make you actually go to one or the other state of your classical register. And this sensitivity could be addressed with the topological properties. So Microsoft is relying on this fact that if you manage to create such qubits, then topologically they will be much more stable and protected, and maybe the problems and the error correction that you have to do for the other types is much less. Now, I also included two other types of quantum computers. They are basically using either photons or diamonds. And the reason they are separated like this is while the first four, they are definitely requiring a low temperature conditions. Well, the other two actually are not so confined to the low temperature, although it's useful to be in a low temperature so that you minimize the noise. But there's photonic gates, and photons also have two states, and then it could be anything on a whole sphere. So the photons could be a really good qubits and their states, and diamonds impurities, they could be used also to create entangled states and process information. Now, as I said, when the thermal noise is really kind of a killer to these machines, that's why most of the machines that you would see, there will be huge machines like this, but what they would be actually a huge refrigerators. When the actual chip is very at the bottom, at very low temperature, and most of the machine that you see is bringing the temperature from 300 kelvins down to millikelvins to minimize the noise that is induced by the environment to your qubit, so that you can really follow up a sequence of quantum transitions and eventually perform something that would be a quantum logic to get to a final state. Now, going back to Jupiter, of course, being in the interstellar space, it's at very low temperature itself.